Police sirens broke the calm of our afternoon as officers approached my 8-year-old daughter on our porch. Lily looked up, confused and afraid, her bald head shining from chemotherapy. "Daddy, are they here because I look scary without hair?" My heart sank. Our HOA president had actually called the police on my daughter, who is battling cancer. Before I share the full story, let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. The sound of sirens pierced our quiet Tuesday as I stood in the kitchen making Lily's favorite, chicken noodle soup, the only food she could keep down, after her morning chemotherapy. When the patrol cars pulled into our driveway, my blood went cold. Not because I feared the police after 22 years as a senior officer and 5 as captain, but because I knew why they had come. I had dreaded this moment ever since our HOA president, Karen Morrison, escalated her harassment toward my sick child. 3 months earlier, when Lily lost her beautiful auburn hair to treatment, I thought the hardest part of our journey was behind us. We had endured the diagnosis, the first terrifying rounds of chemo, and the nights of holding her while she vomited from the medicine meant to save her. I believed losing her hair would just be another step we'd face together. I was wrong. The hardest part wasn't the cancer itself. It was the people who tried to make her ashamed of surviving it. Looking out the window, I saw 2 patrol cars, lights flashing across the neighborhood, making it look like trouble was brewing at our house. The officers were heading toward the porch, where Lily sat on her swing wrapped in her favorite pink fleece blanket from her grandmother. Her pale, bald head caught the sunlight as she stared at the officers, her big brown eyes filled with confusion. Behind them, like a director pulling strings, stood Karen Morrison, our HOA president. For months, she had turned our lives into misery. Karen, perfectly dressed in her business suit, glared at my daughter as if she were guilty of something. This was the same woman who had sent us 47 violation notices, who had taken pictures of Lily on the porch and circled her bald head with a red marker as evidence, and who had even suggested we move to a different community. Now she had gone so far as to involve the police. I opened the door just as Officer Rodriguez, one of my subordinates for the past 8 years, walked toward Lily, his face a mix of concern and confusion. Behind him, Officer Martinez looked equally unsure of why they'd been dispatched here. "What's going on?" I asked, though I already knew. Rodriguez's eyes widened in surprise when he saw me. "Captain Stevens, I didn't realize this was your home. Dispatch told us there was a disturbance involving a minor causing a public disruption." His words trailed off as he looked at Lily, then back at me. His expression shifted from confusion to disgust as he realized the truth. Karen stepped forward, clutching a folder like it was proof of wrongdoing. Her voice was loud and sharp. "This child has been violating our community's appearance standards. She refuses to wear proper head coverings, and her disturbing appearance is lowering property values and upsetting neighbors." The world seemed to stop. She had truly called 911 because my daughter, an 8-year-old fighting leukemia, was bald. "Daddy," Lily whispered, her small voice breaking through the noise. She tightened her blanket around her frail body. "Are the policemen here because I'm sick? Because I don't have hair? Did I break a law by having cancer?" My heart shattered. My brave daughter, who had endured half a year of chemotherapy without complaint, thought she was in trouble for being ill. I knelt beside her, ignoring the officers and Karen's rant. "No, sweetheart. You've done nothing wrong. Being sick isn't against any rules. You're strong, you're beautiful, and I'm so proud of you." Her eyes filled with tears. "Then why did the mean lady call the police on me?" "She told Mrs. Johnson I look gross. She said bald kids make the neighborhood look trashy, and that normal families don't want to live near us. She told me if I don't wear a wig or hat all the time, she'll make us move." Lily's voice broke as she added, "I tried to wear the wig, Daddy, but it's itchy and hurts my head. I don't want us to leave our house." I looked at Karen and felt something I had never experienced in my years as an officer. Not just anger, but a protective fury. This woman had harassed my sick child for months and now dragged police into it. Turning to Officer Rodriguez, I asked firmly, "What exactly did dispatch tell you about this call?" He shifted uncomfortably, glancing between us, his face reddening as he realized what he had been sent to respond to. "Dispatch reported a minor child causing disruption," he admitted, clearly beginning to understand the truth. The report claimed that a child was intentionally disturbing the community by appearing in public in an offensive way. The caller alleged the child aimed to upset and scare neighbors and had ignored prior warnings. Her appearance? I repeated slowly, keeping my voice calm. Do you mean her bald head? The bald head she has because she's receiving chemotherapy for acute lymphoblastic leukemia? Officer Rodriguez's face went pale. Sir, I had no idea. The caller never mentioned anything about medical treatment or cancer. We were told this was a behavioral problem. Officer Martinez stepped forward, clearly troubled. Captain, if we'd known this was about a cancer patient, we wouldn't have handled it this way. This isn't a police issue. This is harassment of a sick child. Turning to Karen, I spoke with the weight of my 22 years in law enforcement. Ms. Morrison, did you or did you not tell the 911 dispatcher that my daughter is a cancer patient undergoing chemotherapy when you made this call? Karen's face reddened, but her defiance remained. She clutched her folder tightly and raised her chin. I told them a child was violating community standards and upsetting residents. Her medical condition doesn't excuse her from following HOA rules about proper public appearance. Proper appearance? My voice trembled with restraint. She's 8 years old and fighting for her life. That's not my problem or the community's, Karen replied coldly. Residents of Maple Grove Estates agree to certain standards. Those standards don't have medical exceptions. If your family can't comply, maybe this isn't the right neighborhood for you. Her words struck like a blow. She was suggesting that families of children with cancer should be forced out because of their appearance. Basic grooming requirements? Officer Martinez said incredulously. You called emergency services because a cancer patient has no hair? Karen's tone grew sharper. I called because this family refuses to follow rules that everyone else follows. If the child wants to appear outside bald, she must wear appropriate head coverings. I've issued multiple violation notices with fines, and they've ignored them all. That part was true. For 3 months, we had received dozens of HOA notices demanding Lily wear a hat, wig, or scarf even in our own yard or on the porch. Each came with escalating fines, starting at $200 and reaching over $2,000, along with threats of legal action against our home. I had dismissed them, believing no reasonable person would pursue this against a child with cancer. I was wrong. Karen wasn't finished. She opened her thick folder and began citing her evidence. Since August 15th, I've issued 47 official violation notices, she declared with disturbing pride. Maple Grove Estates is a premium community with high standards, and that includes appearance in shared spaces. She then produced a photo that made my blood boil. It was of Lily on our porch swing, reading in her yellow dress. Karen had circled her bald head in red marker, adding the words violation of community standards in bold letters. This is clear proof of repeated violations, Karen said, holding it up. Officer Rodriguez stared at the photo in disgust. You took pictures of a cancer patient and marked up her head like she was some sort of offender? I documented a violation of the covenant, Karen replied defensively. Proper documentation is required. You stalked and photographed a sick child, Martinez said firmly, then defaced her picture to use against her. I took the photo from Karen and showed it to Lily. Her eyes widened. Sweetheart, did you know this woman was taking pictures of you? Lily shook her head, tears beginning to fall again. No, Daddy, I was just reading my princess book. I didn't even know someone was taking pictures. Why did she draw on my head? Why does it look like I did something wrong? The innocence in her words and the confusion over why an adult would target her simply for being sick was heartbreaking. This woman had been stalking my daughter, taking photos and turning them into weapons against our family. Miss Morrison, I said firmly, my police captain voice leaving no room for doubt. Are you aware that what you just showed us amounts to stalking, harassment of a child, filing a false police report, and possibly violating federal disability protection laws? For the first time, I noticed hesitation in Karen's eyes, but her arrogance quickly resurfaced along with even more hostility. False report? She scoffed. I reported a legitimate HOA violation, and there's nothing false about it. Look at her. She pointed straight at Lily, who pressed herself against me nervously. She chooses to appear in public looking like that. It's disturbing to other residents, especially children who see her and get upset. Like what? I asked, my tone sharp. What exactly does my daughter look like, Miss Morrison? She looks sick. She looks wrong. She looks like someone who doesn't belong in this neighborhood, Karen said, her mask of politeness gone. Normal children have hair. Normal children look healthy. Normal families don't make everyone else deal with their medical problems. The silence that followed was heavy. Even Karen seemed to realize she had exposed her true feelings, that she believed sick children were unwanted and unworthy of compassion. Officer Rodriguez shook his head in disbelief. "Captain, what do you want us to do? Because this doesn't sound like a community standards issue. It sounds like hate toward a disabled child." Officer Martinez nodded. "Sir, this isn't just a complaint. This is harassment and discrimination." I looked down at Lily, who was listening with wide, frightened eyes. She had endured so much. Countless doctor visits, painful treatments, nights of nausea from chemo, and watching her beautiful curls fall out in clumps. Through it all, she had shown courage most adults never could. And now this woman wanted her to feel ashamed for surviving. "First," I said with authority, "document everything Ms. Morrison has said. Every word, every photo, every violation notice. This will be used as evidence in multiple criminal cases." "Now hold on," Karen cut in, her confidence slipping. "I have every right to enforce HOA rules. This neighborhood has standards we all agreed to. Being sick doesn't mean you get to ignore them." "You're right about one thing," I replied, stepping closer. "No one gets to ignore rules, but you're confused about which rules matter." I pulled out my phone and opened the file I had kept with months of photos of her violation notices. "Let's review some of your so-called enforcement. Miss Morrison, you told 911 dispatchers that a child was causing a disturbance. You left out the fact that the disturbance was a cancer patient's medical condition. That is a false report meant to misuse police resources and harass a sick child." Again, Officer Rodriguez shook his head. "Captain, what's the next step?" I glanced at Lily, still listening, her small body tense with fear. She had carried more pain than any child should ever face, yet here was this woman trying to humiliate her for surviving. "Document all of Ms. Morrison's statements," I instructed. Then explain to her the legal consequences of filing false reports and targeting disabled individuals. "Wait a second," Karen broke in, more defensive than before. "I'm allowed to enforce HOA rules. Everyone here has to follow them. Being sick doesn't mean exceptions." That was the breaking point. "Lily, sweetheart," I said gently, "go inside with Officer Martinez. He'll show you his police badge collection while Daddy finishes talking to this lady." Once Lily was safe inside, I turned back to Karen Morrison with the authority of 22 years in law enforcement. "Miss Morrison, let me make this clear. My daughter has acute lymphoblastic leukemia. She has been undergoing treatment for 6 months. Do you understand what that means?" Karen folded her arms, unbothered. "It means she is not just sick. It means she is 8 years old fighting for her life. She has gone through chemotherapy that would overwhelm a grown man. She has lost her hair, her strength, her childhood, and some days even her hope. And now you want to make her feel ashamed of surviving." I stepped closer, lowering my voice but sharpening the tone. "It means when she sits on this porch, the only place where she feels well enough to breathe fresh air, she should not have to worry about someone trying to make her feel like an outcast." "I'm not making her feel like anything," Karen argued. "I'm simply enforcing the community standards everyone agreed to when they moved here." "Community standards?" I repeated, letting out a humorless laugh. "Show me the HOA rule that says cancer patients cannot be bald." Karen opened her folder of papers nervously. Section 4.3 states that residents must maintain appropriate grooming and a professional appearance in all common areas. That section refers to things like overgrown lawns or peeling paint, not medical conditions. What you're doing is harassment against a child with a disability. "She's not disabled," Karen insisted. "She's just sick. Cancer is legally recognized as a disability," I reminded her. "What you've been doing for the last 3 months is targeted harassment of a disabled minor." For the first time, Karen's confidence wavered, but she quickly tried to recover. "Well, your lawyer can argue that in court. Until then, the HOA rules apply and I expect compliance." "Actually, Ms. Morrison," I said firmly, "you're not heading to court. You're going to jail." Karen blinked in disbelief. "Excuse me?" I turned to Officer Rodriguez. "I want her arrested for filing a false police report, harassment of a minor, and violating federal disability protections." "You can't arrest me," Karen protested. "I'm the HOA president. I was just doing my job." "Rodriguez," I asked, "what's the penalty for filing a false police report?" "Up to 1 year in jail and a $5,000 fine, sir." "And for harassing a disabled minor?" "That's a felony." Up to 5 years, Karen's face went pale. This is ridiculous. I'll call my lawyer. You can call from jail, I replied calmly. Officer Rodriguez, read her rights. As Rodriguez began, Karen finally cracked. Wait, this is a misunderstanding. I didn't know. I was just trying to protect property values. By targeting a sick child? I asked. I wasn't targeting anyone. I was enforcing rules. I pulled out my phone, showing her the photos of every notice she had sent us. Let's review your enforcement. September 15th, you wrote, the minor child residing at 1247 Oak Street continues to appear in public areas with an inappropriate, bald appearance that negatively impacts community aesthetics. Karen shifted uncomfortably. September 22nd, you issued a final warning about her so-called disturbing appearance, threatening legal action if it continued. I looked at her directly. Deliberately disturbing appearance? She's bald because of chemotherapy. October 3rd, I continued. You sent a photo of my daughter sitting on our porch. You circled her head in red marker, labeling it as evidence of a violation. Rodriguez stopped mid-sentence, staring at Karen in disbelief. You circled a cancer patient's head in a photo? October 10th, I went on. You threatened to put a lien on our house if we didn't correct the violation within 48 hours. And on October 15th, my personal favorite, you wrote, the bald child's presence in common areas continues to disturb residents and create an unwelcoming environment. Consider relocation to a community more suitable to your family's situation. The silence afterward was heavy. Even Karen seemed to realize how her words sounded out loud. You told us to move because our daughter has cancer, I said quietly. You suggested a family fighting childhood leukemia should leave because her appearance offended you. At that moment, Officer Martinez stepped outside looking shaken. Captain, your daughter just asked me if she's going to jail for not having hair. She wanted to know if being bald is against the law. That was the breaking point. I turned back to Karen Morrison, speaking with the full weight of a father and a senior police officer. Ms. Morrison, you are under arrest for harassment, filing a false report, intimidation of a witness, and violating federal disability laws. You have the right to remain silent, and I suggest you use it. As Rodriguez cuffed her, Karen finally realized the seriousness of her actions. Please, I didn't mean... I was just upholding standards. No, I said firmly. You were trying to intimidate a child with cancer, and you chose the wrong family. The story didn't end there. That evening, after Karen had been booked and processed, I sat down with Lily for one of the most difficult talks of my life. Daddy, she whispered, curled up in my lap, wearing her favorite princess pajamas. Am I really scary because I don't have hair? My heart broke again. Oh, sweetheart, no. You are the most beautiful girl in the world. Having no hair doesn't make you scary, it makes you strong. You're a warrior, the bravest one I've ever known. Your hair fell out because you're fighting bad cells in your body. The medicine fighting them is so strong it affects your hair too, but that means you're winning. Lily touched her smooth head and thought for a moment. The other kids at the hospital don't have hair either. Are we all warriors? Every single one of you, I said. Then why did that lady think we look bad? She asked. I searched for words an 8-year-old could understand. Some people don't realize that being different doesn't mean being bad. That woman was afraid of what she didn't understand. Instead of learning, she tried to push it away. But Daddy, I can't make my hair grow faster. The doctor said it might take a long time. That's perfectly fine, I assured her. You don't need to change anything about yourself. The woman was wrong and she's going to be held accountable. In the days that followed, Karen's arrest became local news. The story of an HOA president calling police on a young cancer patient spread quickly, sparking outrage across the community. The headline, HOA Karen calls police on bald cancer patient, went viral online. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds reached out to support Lily, including childhood cancer survivors who shared their experiences. A local wig company offered to donate high-quality wigs, not because she needed to hide, but so she'd have choices. But Lily surprised everyone. At dinner one evening, she said proudly, I don't want to hide my warrior head. I want other kids to see that warriors don't always have hair. Our community came together in ways I never imagined. Neighbors who had stayed quiet out of fear of Karen finally spoke up, sharing their own experiences of harassment. We learned Karen had a history of targeting anyone who didn't fit her narrow idea of a perfect neighborhood. She fined a veteran with PTSD for an unkept lawn during a tough period. She harassed an elderly man with Parkinson's for shaky handwriting on his mailbox. She even tried to keep a child with autism indoors during quiet hours because of his stimming behaviors. It became clear. Karen had been abusing her HOA position to attack people she considered different. 3 weeks later, her preliminary hearing began. I testified about the harassment our family endured, presenting her threatening letters and violation notices. But the most impactful testimony came from Lily's oncologist, Dr. Sarah Martinez. She explained the psychological toll Karen's actions had on a child already facing life-threatening illness. Children with cancer often deal with body image issues due to treatment, she said. Hair loss, weight changes, and other effects make them feel different. When authority figures reinforce those insecurities, it can cause lasting harm. Looking directly at Karen, she added, "This wasn't just harassment. It was psychological abuse of a vulnerable child. Lily came to me asking if she was ugly because she was bald. No 8-year-old should feel ashamed for surviving." Karen's lawyer argued she was simply enforcing HOA rules, but the evidence was overwhelming. The judge, clearly out of patience, delivered a sharp verdict. "In 25 years on the bench, I've rarely seen such clear harassment disguised as duty," Judge Williams said. "Your treatment of this family and this child shows a complete lack of basic human decency." Karen was sentenced to 6 months in jail, 2 years of probation, and 500 hours of community service at the local children's hospital. She was ordered to pay $50,000 in damages and permanently banned from holding any HOA leadership role. But the real victory came after. Prompted by Lily's case, the state legislature passed new protections for people with medical conditions, known as Lily's Law. Other states soon followed. Our HOA was completely restructured, with bylaws protecting residents with disabilities. The new president, Mrs. Chin, a nurse, believed communities should support their most vulnerable, not push them away. 6 months after Karen's arrest, When Lily's hair started to grow back, it came in curly and untamed. Different from before, but beautiful in its own way. By that time, something important had shifted. She no longer felt embarrassed about her bald head. Even as her hair returned, she proudly shared photos of herself during treatment with other children, explaining that baldness was part of being a cancer fighter. "Look, Daddy," she said one afternoon, showing me a drawing she'd made at school. It was a picture of herself without hair, wearing a cape and smiling brightly. At the bottom, she had written, "Super Lily, the Cancer Warrior." She told me, "I want to show this to kids who are scared of losing their hair. I want them to know that warriors come in many forms." A year later, Lily was declared cancer-free. Her hair had grown into soft curls. Her energy returned, and so did her playful grin. But she carried with her the lessons from that fight. She began visiting the children's hospital, bringing drawings and small gifts to kids still in treatment. She showed them photos of herself, bald yet confident, to remind them that cancer could never take away their worth or their strength. Meanwhile, Karen Morrison completed her sentence and left our community after her release. From what I heard, she lost her job and reputation, becoming an example of the harm caused by prejudice and abuse of authority. But I didn't spend time thinking about her. I was too busy feeling proud of my daughter. On the 2nd anniversary of her diagnosis, Lily did something that moved me deeply. She asked if she could shave her head again just for a day, to show support for kids still battling cancer. "I want them to know they're not alone," she said. "Being bald is beautiful when you're fighting for your life." So, we shaved her curls and she spent the day with young patients, letting them see that she chose to look like them because she was proud of what they represented: courage, resilience, and hope. That night, as I tucked her into bed, she told me something I'll never forget. "Daddy, I'm glad the mean lady was wrong about me being scary, because now I know being different isn't scary, it's powerful, and I want to use that power to help other kids." I kissed her smooth head and whispered, "You already are, sweetheart. You already are." Karen Morrison thought she was protecting community standards by attacking a sick child. Instead, she helped create a warrior who now protects other vulnerable children from people like her. In the end, Lily's bald head, the thing Karen tried to shame, became a symbol of hope and strength for countless families facing childhood cancer. The very thing Karen wanted to hide became a light for those who needed it most. And every time I see Lily encouraging another child going through treatment, I'm reminded that sometimes the most beautiful quality in a person is what others fear the most: the courage to be themselves, even when the world tells them they aren't enough. The woman once said Lily looked frightening without hair. She was wrong. Baldness didn't make Lily scary. It made her exactly what she truly was, a survivor, a warrior, and a beacon of hope for anyone fighting for their life. That more than anything else is the real beauty.